Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 126 of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is the excellence of podcast execution. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be in wrestling podcasting. The Marty to my Sean, the Animal to my Hawk in this podcast Legion of Doom, the Stone Cold to my Cerebral Assassin in this two-person power trip of a podcast. She is wrestling podcasting's Jedi Warrior, coming straight from the Berg. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
I feel like depending on who you ask, it'd be more Sith Lord than anything.
All right. Well, we could always change it. I was just doing an assumption, and you know what
depends
they say
on the
about
day.
Yeah, you know what they say about assuming. So
Yeah.
I'm not a Star Wars guy, so I just kind of threw that in there.
Hey, I'm glad that you knew it, though. I'll give you bonus points for knowing it, so that's good.
All right. Well, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Settle in, put in your headphones, grab a snack, because we have a very, very great episode for you. It's all about what went down at this past Saturday's SummerSlam event that was in Cleveland Brown Stadium. Not only was the event in Cleveland Brown Stadium, but Shay was also in Cleveland Brown Stadium with her mom. She's going to give us a scoop about all that. But the first thing I want to talk about right off the bat, right when we start, you got to meet Rhea Bloody Ripley.
Yes, I did. I still can't believe it.
I wouldn't have showered. I wouldn't have showered after that. I'm sorry.
I would have. I almost fully, not really passed out. I was like nervous, but no. But the funny thing is, for the people listening, it really, if it wasn't for you, I don't think it would have happened. Like, no joke, because I was sitting at work, and you had sent me a message, and it was like, what, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you, obviously Twitter just comes up as like, you sent me a message, so I'm like, oh, okay, he found a meme or something he wanted me to see. And so I had to wait a little bit because I was busy with something at work, and I finally opened it up, and it was Rhea's Twitter, and she was saying how she was meeting people for SummerSlam in the morning. And I'm like, why did I not see this? I follow Rhea. Like, why did that not show up? But we know how fuck Twitter is sometimes, so whatever. So I saw it, and then I saw when she posted that and when you sent that to me, and it was like an hour after you sent it. So I'm just sitting there like, unfucking believable. If I would have just saw this sooner, it's sold out. It's got to be sold out, because I remember I was very tempted to meet her at WrestleMania, but it was a little too expensive. But she sold out at WrestleMania in like an hour, maybe, give or take. So I'm like, I fucking blew it. I didn't see this in time. It's sold out. Whatever. What the fuck ever. I'll just look just to see, because you never know. And I was also hoping I could get something for Mom with Damien, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. But we could talk about that later. But I open up the thing. Her stuff's still available. I'm like, how the fuck is this still here? I'm like, please don't be like $200 like it was at WrestleMania. And it was only like $100, which for her is cheap. So I'm like sitting at work, and I'm like, do I do this? Do I not do this? Like, I had like texted Mom, and of course she doesn't have her phone during work. She has to get it on break. So I'm just like, Mom, like there's a chance we're gonna meet Rhea, and like it's right before SummerSlam, and like we didn't really have any plans that morning anyway. And so I'm just like, okay, well, screw it. I'm just going to do it. And so I bought a ticket, and it literally was the second to last group before it sold out.
Wow.
Yeah, because I went in like groups where it was like this group one goes in at like, I think she started at 10:30, and then there's like this group goes in at 11, this group goes in, and we were 11:10, and I had checked back later that night because I was curious, and she sold out. So
wow.
Fully, if it wasn't for Erik, I give you full credit. Like, that would not have happened if you hadn't sent me that, because I wouldn't have seen it until it was too late.
Right, because the thing is, like, I saw it, and I was like, Shay didn't mention anything about this, whether or not it was sold out, whether or not she got tickets for it or whatever. And I'm pretty sure she would have mentioned it. So I don't know if she's seen it. So I was like, well, let me just send it to her off the rip. But it's just going to be like, I thought you were going to be like, oh, it's too expensive, we're sold out. And then you were like, I got him. I was like, it was like as if I got him too. I was like, fuck yeah, she got him. God, what an experience. I probably would have been a bumbling idiot.
I I tried not to be because like and it was so funny too that like after we had gotten that, I think I was on Twitter in the hotel room or something, and she was doing some media, one of the like 5,000 media interviews they all do during these weekends,
Right.
and she was saying something about like how when she does these meet and greets and whatever, she's like, "Yeah, I know that they try to like rush us through because there's like a lot of people, whatever." But she's like, "I always try to like take my time and talk to people that come to see me because
Right.
obviously they come to see me for a reason." So I'm like, okay, so if I can at least form a couple coherent sentences, I at least have a chance. That would have been the issue. But um I feel like we haven't really talked about this too much because I'm always too busy going on about Dakota and Shayna, but I've been a huge fan of Rhea for years, like way back in like right at the Mae Young Classic, like right
Right.
when she got here. I thought she was like pretty cool. And then when she got more into like the punk rock alternative look, I'm like, oh yeah, she's definitely like my style, your
Mhm.
style. So I always appreciated the fact that she didn't look the type. She didn't look like the typical women's wrestler. She didn't act like the typical women's wrestler, like all black everything, chain spikes, black attire everywhere. I'm just like, yeah, no, this is my style. This is like one of my favorites. And so obviously when I went in and saw her, poor mom, she was joking with the lady, like taking the like ticket for the photo or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, are you both going in for the photo?" And mom's like, "I'm just here to make sure she doesn't pass out." Which I'm like, you know what? That's fair. I couldn't even argue with her on that one.
That's fantastic.
So I get up to see her. I get a hug, so I'm already like I could be on the floor like right now. I could be on the floor as we speak. But whatever. So obviously I'm like it's good to have you back cuz it's the genuine truth. Like it sucked without her for those 3 months. It just wasn't
Yeah,
the
for
same.
sure.
She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad to be back." And I think we took the photo. And then I was just like, "I just want to thank you for being yourself because you help so many other people including myself show that it's okay to just be however we want to be and dress a certain way or like obviously in our case like tattoos. I'm like I'm not worried about getting like tattoos because then it's just like I can just do whatever I want to do. And she's like, yeah, fuck them. Do whatever you want to do. And I'm like, this is the Rhea that I wanted to see.
That's awesome.
Um, so yeah, and then I got two hugs.
Oh,
So
nice.
I know I
Nice.
got two hugs by Rhea, and then obviously everybody in the Discord saw the photo, and I
Yeah.
posted it on my Twitter. So I'm like, yeah, it was super cool. I'm hoping when WrestleMania comes around, if we can, I'll try to hopefully see her again. But no, she was super. Everyone always says if you go on Twitter or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, she's super sweet. She's a super like total sweetheart when you meet her." They're not joking. She really is genuinely one of the nicest wrestlers I had met. So very happy, very worth the money.
Wow.
Definitely thought about passing out, but how could you not? Like she's
Yeah.
right there. But
Yeah. She's
yeah,
almost
so now
like a spiritual entity, you know.
yeah,
Even
literally.
like even when she's on TV, like the past couple times, like when she made her return and
Yeah.
then Monday night on Raw, when she
Oh, that
comes
was
out,
yeah.
she has that presence that everybody talks about, that
Mhm.
everybody tries to attach with other people. It goes way beyond aura, which is the
Yeah.
buzzword of the week when it comes to wrestling and Twitter. It's she it's a commanding presence. Like, you know,
Yeah.
she is just going to grab you and you're going to pay attention to her whether you want to or not. And like you look at the situation Monday when she was coming out to get her revenge, it was like I wanted to run through the screen. I'm
Yeah.
streaming and I'm just like
Like, let's
fucking get
go.
her. Like, you know, just
Literally.
fucking get her. It
I
was
was
as
literally doing the same, dude.
yeah.
Like, poor Damon getting his ass kicked, and I'm like, Rhea, come on, you gotta hurry up, like, show up. And then her
Yeah.
music hit, and I'm like, let's fucking go. Like,
When she was able to grab Liv
yeah.
like a lion grabbing a gazelle,
Like,
you
it's
know,
over.
it was like fuck yeah, like yeah, like you, that was the moment where they always talk about suspending disbelief
Yeah.
and being in the moment as a fan rather than an analyst or anything like that.
Oh
you're
yeah.
you're just in the moment and you're like, God, I
Mhm.
want to see her get her hands. And then because like usually what they do is they'll wait, they'll tease. The
Yeah.
heel will run away and get away as fast as possible. And we'll just have to wait another week to see if the hero gets their revenge. And
Yeah.
no, they didn't do that this week. They fucking just went and got her. Like it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, but I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's such a special thing. I mean, you WrestleMania, you got to meet Shayna, which is your all-time favorite.
Yeah.
SummerSlam, you got to meet Rhea. I mean, what's next? I think if your mom ever meets Damien, that's it.
Done.
That's it.
Well, it's funny that you it's funny that you mentioned that. She didn't meet him unfortunately before we we get there, but we the tickets for the premiere of his documentary, which I don't know if you've seen yet. Fantastic. It's
Oh,
like
really?
it's so good. Like it did its job because then it made Saturday hit a lot harder than it should have, but
Wow.
we'll get to that later. But literally the day before the documentary, which would have been it was Friday. So Thursday early morning-ish I get an email and they're like, "Oh yeah, here's the info for the stuff and how you get in and what can you bring, whatever." And then, "Oh, here's like upgrades for parking and meet and greet." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. They didn't offer this when I bought the tickets because I would have at least looked." I mean, I would have that would have been very rude of me to be like not even bother looking for her because obviously that's like her Shayna is
Right.
Davian. So
Right.
I'm looking and I'm like, where are these like because they sent me a link but the link went to parking and I'm like we don't care about parking because we've been to that venue before. It's like we know what we're doing, but I'm like, okay, where's the meet and greet, like whatever, like this is I need to see this. And so I ended up calling and they're like, oh, you have to get like a ticket and then you can get the upgrade for it. And I'm like, what if I bought a ticket already? They're like, oh yeah, you had to buy a ticket. I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck ever. I'm like, okay. So I at least looked just to see. And it was $250 to meet him.
Woo.
Yeah, I could have bought two
Woo.
Rhea. I could have got two separate photos with Rhea for the price of Damien's. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I thought about it. I'm not gonna lie. I did think about it, but I'm just like, mom would have kicked my ass if I spent that much money, and I couldn't hide it from her. She knows
Yeah.
how to get into the bank account. She would have known how much I spent on it. So I did end up telling her, I'm like, I tried to find the meet and greet. This is how much it was. She's like, please don't tell me you spent that much money. And I'm like, no, I didn't, mom. She's like, good, because I would have fucking kicked your ass if you did. I'm like, still not the point, but whatever. So yeah, no, the documentary itself is very good. I would definitely recommend it to people.
Yeah.
Because WWE's documentaries are always really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his was no different. It was really good. I mean, I'm sure mom learned some things that she didn't know about him. Obviously, I did a little more homework, and so I kind of knew a slightly more of his background than before he got to NXT. But yeah, it was definitely a very good documentary, and it just made things a lot worse Saturday because
Yeah.
ugh, it
Yeah.
was I think the best way I can describe the best way I could describe SummerSlam, at least for mom and I personally, I'll get my unbiased opinion later, but the phrase that I've been throwing around was fun yet catastrophic.
It felt that way because um
Yeah.
I didn't stream on Twitch. I didn't do a live watch on Twitch. I just basically chilled in Discord with a bunch of people. We set up like a private room and we watched SummerSlam and it was dope. It was a couple people and the chat was going and we were all joking around. It felt really good to be able to watch a PLE and talk about the PLE without having to worry about people making it into a WWE versus AEW thing
Yeah,
or
yeah.
anything like that, or anybody just trying to troll and get their tweets off. It was literally just a group of people hanging, watching the TV. Like we had a blast just like watching the show. There was a moment, I don't know if you caught the broadcast where I think it was towards the beginning. It might have been with Dom and Rhea or something like that, or maybe towards the end, where Michael Cole goes, "Oh my God, it looks like the Bada Bing out here," which is a
Mhm.
Sopranos reference, but the Discord is
Yeah.
called the Ringside Rundowns Bada Bing. So
They're
as
like, he said it. He
yes,
said it.
as soon as he said it, the whole chat was just like, "Oh my god, we gotta shut up!" Just acting completely
He said the
ridiculous.
thing.
He said the thing. He knows we exist. We
Yeah,
just
right, totally.
we just started bugging out, and like when moments happen, when the Damien moment happened, which we'll talk about. We were freaking out, like everything, all the big when you know who came back, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
as if like the entire Discord server like transcended into a whole another
Just
universe.
crashed.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like the chat just started flowing with Roman Reigns
Uh,
gifts, and it was just it was a fun night. So it really is cool what we have going on. We got a lot of people's opinions about the show that we got to get through. So we might as well get to the matches. And the one thing I'm going to ask you a lot, so be prepared, is I
yes.
want to know what the actual feeling inside of the building was, because you were
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
I know it was, and it wasn't just a burst of energy for like the ending. It was
Yeah.
really throughout the show. It felt like these big moments just keep
Yeah.
happening and happening and happening.
Yeah, it wasn't a dead crowd for sure, which I was happy with because let me just get this out of the way real quick here. Taking my Pittsburgh sports bias out of this, Cleveland Brown Stadium is not the best stadium. It's I'm just gonna say it, and
It's
I'm
a
sorry if
dump.
we have. It's a shithole. I'm sorry for any Cleveland fans that may hear this. I'm sorry. You might disagree. You might not. We got into an argument with Cleveland fans when we were waiting in line to get into the store,
Oh
and that's
wow.
not even like a. And that wasn't even like it was just a joke back. Oh no, it was like an argument. Not to the point of we were gonna get kicked out for physical violence, but we were going back and forth a little bit, and it was this will be the like last little joke before like or little story before we get into it, but it was so we're standing in line. You know how these lines are. They were fucking massive to
Mhm.
get into the store. And we're standing there and we're like talking, and of course there's people starting Browns chants, whatever. Or just like, okay, whatever, who gives a shit? And then someone was brave enough to start a Steelers chant. And we're like, all right, yeah, somebody's got some common sense around here,
Oh
which
no.
there were some Pittsburgh fans in attendance. We saw a lot of Pirates hats, Penguins hats, Steelers hats. So I'm like, all right, so there's some people who are on the correct side of sports. But I don't remember what we didn't go along with it because we're just like, ah, whatever, the people being people. And mom's like, well, of course, then the Cleveland fans started to boo whoever did the Steelers chant. And mom's just like, they're just mad about the Super Bowl rings, obviously, because we have 6 and they have none. And this guy in front of us, it was just a middle-aged white guy with his kids and probably his friend or whatever. He just turns around and he's like, "Yeah, we don't care." And I just looked at him and I looked at mom and I'm like, "Yeah, bullshit, buddy. Like, okay, you don't care, all right, that you have no champion. Okay." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So then mom and I just started like talking again. We just thought that was the end of it. Oh, it wasn't the end of it. He turns back around and he's just like, "Well, I just hope you guys are happy with 8-8 every year." I'm like, okay, well, dude, at least we've had some playoff success. What do you have to show? Like
Mm.
something, anything, like anything at
Mm.
all. And this guy's response, I'm not even joking. I don't even remember exactly. Mom probably said something after I said something. And the only rebuttal this guy had was just like, well, I'm from Cleveland. And we're like, congratulations. Like, that's not really an accomplishment. That's more whatever.
That's
And
great.
he's like, "Well, you guys are here." And we're like, "Yeah, for the fucking show, not for the Browns. Why the fuck would we be here any other time?" Like, okay, buddy. Like,
Oh,
sure, whatever works for
fantastic.
you. Like, it's just like, dude,
Fantastic.
your team's championships aren't even recognized by the NFL, so I don't want to fucking hear it. But it just made me laugh that he didn't care that we had more Super Bowls than them. Like, yeah, sure, buddy. Okay,
Th-
at least we
that's
have one.
that's hilarious, because one of the people that were hanging out with us for the show, he lives in the UK. I believe he said he lived in Ireland.
Okay.
So we all like a bunch of us and like one of our Discord people, Riz, we were like making fun of Cleveland, and he was like, "Well, what's so bad about Cleveland? So I know if I ever go to the US to avoid it." And we're all just like, "Oh, it's a shithole and everything like that."
Yeah.
And I posted, I don't know if you remember Joakim Noah, the basketball player.
Oh yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
when he,
Hmm.
when he made that statement about Cleveland, and he was just like, "What's so great about Cleveland?" Like,
Nothing.
nothing. It was just like I
No.
posted that video, and he was like, "Okay, I get it," and he was just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
It's just ugh, it's
it's
just weird. It's weird parking too. Like it was such a pain in the ass to park. And the worst part is it's kind of like Pittsburgh, except I think 10 times worse. I'm sure someone from Cleveland came into Pittsburgh, they'd say the same thing, but it's one of those cities where you see where you have to go. You see the building in front of you, but you have to take five different turns to get there. You can't just take a straight road
right,
to the destination. And the stadium is right on the lake. Like there's the road, the stadium, and then the lake. There's like no other parking on the other side of it. So we mom and I were kind of talking as we were sitting there because we got done with Ria's picture really early, but the gates didn't open till like 4:30,
wow,
and it was hot. It was like I mean, it was only like 80 degrees, but the humidity was just fucking terrible for most of the day. And so we're just like, let's just go find something to eat. We'll sit there for as long as they'll let us and not kick us out, and then we'll just go right around the doors opening. And we had parked where the superstore, if you want to call it that, was, and that was like a 15-minute walk to the venue. And I'm like, all right, mom,
Hmm.
I don't think you want to walk 15 minutes here in this heat. I sure as hell don't want to. Heat and I don't get along very well. I tend to overheat easily. I don't know how, but whatever. And so mom's like, well, let's just take like an Uber over and then we'll just walk back. But by the time the show's going to be over, it's not going to be too humid. It's not going to be very hot at 11:30 at night.
right."
So we ended up doing that. And then we had to stand in line for 15 fucking minutes because they didn't open the doors on time again. And so we're still sitting there. I'm just like, this is fine, I guess. So we kind of just stayed in the concourse for a little bit until around like 6 o'clock because they said they were gonna start at 6:30 and they kind of did. But yeah, Cleveland's Brown Stadium's just when your aisle seats, the outer part of them are rusting, that pretty much tells you all you need to know. And even before then, we got into the venue finally, and we're like walking around trying to find the store, and we're just looking at the place, and I'm like, this is it. This is this is all we got, I guess. But it's fine. It's very bland with a lot of orange, unfortunately. But it is what it is. I mean, if we had to go there again for another pay per view, fine. But it's not somewhere I would go willingly.
Mm.
I don't think I would go there for a Steelers Browns game because I'd like to not get physically assaulted. So but other than that, the pay per view was fun. It was a great time. Again, very catastrophic for mom and I specifically, but we'll get to that shortly. But yeah, no, the pay per view was really. I enjoyed it. Obviously, I'm biased, but I thought it was really good. But I feel like, and I know Meltzer kind of worded this a certain way. I just thought it was poorly worded, where it was like this was an angle pay per view. It had nothing really. If you were looking for great wrestling, you weren't going to find it at the show, which I kind of disagree with that. The wrestling was good,
Right.
but I can agree with what he meant of it was more of a storyline driven pay-per-view, not so much
Yeah.
wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah,
But it
definitely.
but it worked.
Yeah.
Like everything was predictable for the most part, but they did it in a way where it was still just like, God damn it, I wish they weren't gonna do that, but they did it anyway. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a great time. Totally worth sitting in the heat for a little bit, but damn, my heart was broke by the end for the most part.
I,
Like
I bet. I bet. And
right
yeah,
from the beginning too. I had nothing left to give after the first match. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm done.
that was a doozy. But I kind of do agree with the sentiment, but it kind of reinforces my thought process when it comes to wrestling is that uh WWE and AEW specifically, they're on two opposite ends of the wrestling spectrum.
Yeah.
In terms of what they offer from their product. But if you're a normal brained wrestling fan, you can find something out of both things that you can enjoy that one may
Mhm.
not have that the other does. And that's why
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, like, this is why the whole idea that it's AEW versus WWE or vice versa is kind of stupid, because it's not really
Yeah.
like that. It's two totally different things. It's McDonald's versus Burger King, Pepsi versus Coca-Cola,
Yep.
Every single opposite, metaphor you can use, that's what basically fits here. And he's right in the sense that this is more, WWE is a very, very much story based driven, and you could tell because a lot of these matches, for example, one thing my brother brought up, uh, the next day was like, man, Gunther didn't really get the reaction that he should have gotten at the end of the match, you know,
Yeah.
for what had happened. And it was
Hmm.
basically because everyone was focused on what happened, why the things happened, which we'll get into the match, and they were focused more on that rather than who won and everything like that. So yeah, he
Yeah.
is right. You got to give him. He is on the nose when he says that it was more of a story based pay per view. But again, this has become WWE's strong suit. Basically, is the
Yeah.
storytelling. People are starting to realize, okay, we have to maybe amp up our patience with this stuff, because the story, once we get the payoffs, the certain payoffs in the story, it's like a rocket went into space, you
Yeah.
know
Oh yeah.
because you look at it, we went from the bloodline being the only story that mattered in WWE, so now we got bloodline 2.0, the Judgment Day situation, the Wyatt Six, uh
Yeah.
now we have Shayna, Zoe, and Sonya versus Damage Control. Damage Control flips, and now they're the babyface group. Now they're coming to
Yeah.
save the day. Everything on TV has a story purpose to it. It's just not thrown on there for any reason. So again, it is different. So I see what his point is. But again, it was just a fantastic night that, like, it made people realize, oh, this is the wrestling that we love.
Yeah.
This is the emotion that it takes out of us. So it was a
Oh
great,
yeah.
yeah, it was a great night. Let's get right into it. It kicks off with Liv Morgan defending the WWE Women's World Championship against Rhea Ripley, the woman that she basically stole it from by
Yep.
nefarious means. As far as the match, to me, this one had a good amount of drama behind it, but not too much
Hmm.
where you felt you were worn out after the first match. It,
Yeah.
it went down basically like this. Dom screws Rhea, but he did it sort of in a covert way where you couldn't tell
Yeah.
that he was screwing her over. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, but it went down as he was distracting the referee well enough to allow Liv to hit Oblivion on a chair for the win. After the match, Dom goes over, he helps Liv up to her feet, and they make out, to the shock of the crowd and to the
Yeah.
disdain of Rhea Ripley. As far as the match itself, it was very solid work. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 flames. Obviously, right off the bat, the moment where he helped Liv up to her feet and they started
Hmm.
playing tongue hockey.
Yeah.
What was the reaction of the crowd watching the match?
Oh, it was I mean, I think obviously everybody was happy to see Rhea back
Yeah,
because it's been a whopping almost 4 months at this point since she's wrestled, so she got a good reaction. Liv, she definitely got some boos from what I could hear in the crowd. She
yeah,
was
yeah.
definitely getting more boos than cheers, and as she deserved. But I did like, there were some people online that were saying, "Oh, well, the whole like dislocated shoulder was cheesy, blah blah blah." I'm like, not really, because it's not like they overdo that.
Hmm.
But when they were doing that, and she's like, it's out," I'm like, please don't do this to me right away. Like,
You
it's
bought
just
it.
again that, yeah, which is like, you know what? It's okay to like fall into the emotion of it. You don't have to always be, oh, I got you. I know that's just fake. It's like, but because you never know, she could be very good at acting. It could be real. Who knows?
Hmm.
And I'm kind of sitting there, and I'm glad some people picked up on this. I'm like, I wonder if she's gonna do the Shayna thing, like she did at Takeover New Orleans, where she like popped her shoulder back into place off the ring post or something.
Right.
And she did it, and I'm like, she did the thing, she did the thing, she did the same thing Shayna did. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. And as soon as that crowd knew that like her shoulder was quote unquote fixed, oh, it came alive again. They're like, oh, Liv's done for, like she's done. And I like that little kind of hook, line, and sinker in a way where Rhea went to like swing the chair and Dom grabs it and everyone's like, "Oh shit, this is it. This is
Yeah.
finally like what's gonna happen." But then you're like sitting there and I'm like, "But no, but you're like, damn it, it makes sense though, because like he's saying you
He,
can't win the title like this.
right,
You're gonna get
right.
disqualified."
It
So I'm
was
like,
it was perfect.
I'm like, God damn it, he's right. Fuck. So then later in, you see him kind of slide the chair in. I'm like, this is how it's gonna happen. It's happening. It's gonna happen. And it did. And I'm like, God damn it. And it's like you knew it was coming, but it still was just like, God, that still hurts. And props to Rhea for the acting on that because just looking back on that like those like clips of her when they're, making out or whatever, you see the full range of emotions of hurt, sadness, anger. Like 1 minute she looks like she's about to cry, then she's like pissed, then she kind of gets that like Joker vibe going, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, these two are done for. These two are
Yeah.
dead. But
What was the people around you when they started making out? How did the
they were
crowd react?
shocked. They're like, God, it was that mix of like shocked and God damn it, we knew this was gonna happen. And it's like, son of a bitch. But my friends were so happy about that. They were like, I was texting one of them. I'm like, I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy. Like, whatever. Because we were going back and forth with each other the whole
Yeah.
week. Like, I knew Rhea was gonna lose, but you never know. Like, Triple H could have changed his mind, and he didn't. But she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally happy." I'm like, "Oh, I bet you are." Like, it must be nice. So,
Yeah, yeah.
it broke my heart early, and broke my heart even more later on, a couple matches from now. But
Really
yeah,
did.
yeah, yes, it really did. And I did like that video they put out and they played afterwards in the arena where where's Dom? Like Damien's pissed,
Yeah,
rightfully.
that I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, because Damien was heated. He
Yeah,
was
I did.
mad.
That's his terror twin. You don't mess with the terror twins.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, as soon as he put his hands on Finn, I'm like, god damn it. I'm like, it's gonna happen, isn't it? But I
Yeah.
really knew it was gonna happen later on before the match, and we'll get to that other video later. But I'm just like, well, if you're gonna break my heart, I guess you might as well just do it at the beginning of the show. But yeah, I would definitely agree it was 3.5 flames. It was enough drama that it wasn't overdone. It wasn't like cringy eye rolling.
Right.
It wasn't a full on like brawl either. I feel like we'll hopefully be getting that at like Bad Blood or I don't know, Bash in Berlin maybe. But
Nah, they
those
need
two
to
are gonna
put
get their
they need to put Rhea and Liv in Hell in a Cell.
oh yes,
It
at
needs
Bad
to
Blood.
happen. It needs to happen at Bad Blood. Like it's a perfect
Yes.
apropos name for what's going on here. They need to
They
put
knew
them
why they're bringing. They knew what they were doing bringing that show back.
right.
Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
there's at least 3 matches off the top of my head, and like storylines lately where I'm like, Bad Blood's where they got to do it.
Yeah. To the point where you're like, shit, every match should be a Hell in a Cell match at
Yes,
this point. Because
it might be.
I honestly feel like Triple H looked at the situation in Judgment Day in particular and was
Hmm.
like, yeah, we could do one, we could do the other, but let's do both and
Yeah,
light
let's do
this
both.
fucker on fire and just like
Poor Atlanta is not going to be the same after that
yeah,
show. Let
but
me tell you.
like I'm looking at the Judgment Day situation because they literally sacrificed two parts of the Judgment Day and blew up the entire thing. Like usually there's always
Yeah.
one part and the remnants stick together and they make it work. Triple H was like, nah, we're gonna blow it up here and then we're gonna throw them off and blow it up here. And
Yes.
it's just it's insane. It's so crazy how the Judgment Day story went to Edge making this de facto group and McMahon wanting it to be supernatural to then
Yeah.
Edge getting dumped like literally weeks after creating it. And then we get the Judgment Day, which behind the bloodline was probably the most powerful entity in the past, 5 years,
Yeah.
since we
Yeah.
had on,
Recent.
since we had on, like they literally at the very end, even with Carlito, became
Yeah.
a solidified group, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And now it all went to shit, but we'll talk about that a little later because there was another big moment which led to the implosion of the entire Judgment Day. But again, we
I
both
don't want
give
to talk about it. But
it we both give it 3.5 out of 5 flames. It was a great match. Like Meltzer said, it was more story based driven, and the story, when you think it's over, Triple H figures out a way to send another piece to the moon. So
yep.
we got to buckle in. It's going to be great.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, definitely wild for sure. Next match on the card was Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental Championship against the newcomer, the absolute badass Braun Breaker. I thought it was a solid match. I just wish there was a little bit more drama before Braun put Sammy down to win it. Regardless, those last two spears of the match
Mm,
were just like emphatic. Yes, this guy is indestructible, and he deserves the spot. Like I was explaining to people, because the good thing about our community that we're building is that there's a lot of people who are brand new wrestling fans, so they
mhm.
don't understand like the subtle nuances of wrestling. They just see good guy versus bad guy and they go
Yeah,
with that, which is great. And so I'm trying to explain to them it's actually could be a positive, because Braun Breaker is such a powerful being right now that he's going to be able to do what Gunther did for the title. He's going to be able to do what Sammy did for the title and elevate it to being an important part of the show. But it also is good because now we can possibly push Sammy into the upper part of the card where we can get that main event match against Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And the Intercontinental Championship thing at WrestleMania was great, but I do feel it lacked just a little bit more of that Sami Zayn drama. So
yeah,
when you add a World Heavyweight Championship to it, which Sami Zayn has never held in his career yet, except for NXT, but on the main roster, he's never held a World Championship before. So he'll add that little bit of drama. From what I read, the match was a little bit shorter than what it was
yeah,
supposed to be.
yes,
So that's maybe why it didn't have that drama. But again, those two spears that Braun Breaker hit were a thing of beauty. It literally solidified that he is a monster. I gave this match 3 out of 5. I particularly enjoyed Braun Breaker's promo from Monday Night Raw, which I thought was
yeah,
absolutely excellent. The fact that he goes, you see this name bolted into this title, that means that is my name, and you're gonna have to take it from me. That
yeah,
like it was just the most intense thing. And then he goes on media and he's like, well, John Cena's retiring, he's doing this retirement tour, and he's never held the world the Intercontinental
oh
Championship.
no.
Yeah, he's never held the Intercontinental Championship, so John Cena, come take it from me. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh no, this is bad for John Cena. But I'm like, as a wrestling fan, I'm like, this is awesome. We need this so bad.
Literally, funny enough, I also gave it 3 out of 5 because it played out pretty much how we expected it to, where
Hmm.
Braun learned from his mistakes in the last match and did his homework and took the title and did, just weathered the storm in a certain way. It was surprisingly short. It was so short. And I felt bad because I know after I got my heart broken, mom's like, okay, I'm going to go get like a pretzel and some popcorn or something. I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay. So she leaves and that match happens and ends. And I'm just like, she hasn't really been gone that long. What the hell? So, and
Hmm.
because it was not that long of a match, so I'm
Right.
like, could it have used a little bit more? Maybe, but it wasn't like a, oh my god, that was too short. I wanted more. It was just more of like a, oh, that was really short, like surprisingly short. I think that was the vibe of the crowd where it's like, oh, cool, he won, but also that's it. Like, damn, like okay, sure, I guess, but
Yeah.
crowd was still excited to see him win. And it was well deserved. He's definitely earned it. So it was cool, but I just felt bad because mom did not get to watch it at all. So rip to that. But yeah, it's gonna take a very special kind of person to take that title off of him, and I don't think it's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like WWE has put themselves in a position where the people who hold their titles are in a position to hold those titles for a very very long time. So Braun is
Yeah.
definitely included in that sentiment, because I mean the guy's just a freak. He's a
Yeah,
freak.
he really is.
He's a perfect concoction of his father and his uncle. He basically has all of their best attributes in one person, and
Yeah.
they were a Hall of Fame tag team. So it's just like it's insane what this guy. He hasn't even scratched the surface of what he's
No.
capable of doing. So again, it's going to be a wild ride. I can't wait to see who's going to be the next one to step up to Braun. I'm hoping it's going to be Ilya. I think
Yeah,
I
oh,
think him and
I can't
Dragunov
wait.
him and Dragunov would have those NXT matches where they were just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good stuff. So congratulations to Braun Breaker, one of many championships he will be holding in the WWE. So we can't wait to see what he does next. We both gave the match a 3 out of 5 flames.
Yep.
All right. So next
Yeah.
up, we have Logan Paul defending the United States Championship against one LA Knight. And me personally, I was very surprised at how good this match was. I knew it would be
Yeah.
solid, but I didn't think it was going to exceed my expectations. Logan Paul continues to add to his game. I love that they started fighting before the bell actually rang, to the point where we were like, did the bell ring yet, or
Yeah.
are they
Yeah.
just beating the piss out of each other? A good amount of drama kept you on the edge of your seat, and then the match ended with LA Knight hitting the BFT, and he wins the U.S. Championship, his first title in the WWE. And for me, I gave this match 3.25 flames out of 5.
Because I did the same thing. We might just go 7 for 7. I will say, despite the Browns fans and whatever, I will give Cleveland some credit.
Right.
They understood the assignment. They
Yes.
booed Logan Paul out of the building as they should
Yes.
have because he's a piece of shit. But yeah, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Him losing the title. I think it could have been 3.5, but what knocked it down was, once again, we had to do the whole brass knuckles thing. Whatever, so
Yeah.
original. Who gives a shit? And I love the fact that LA Knight did not give a flying fuck about those brass knuckles. He hit them. He got hit with them. Was down for a little bit, and then he's just like, "Nope, I don't care," and then just hits his finisher and wins. So yeah, it was good. I mean, Logan Paul's good, but it's not shocking anymore. Where it's just like, okay, yeah, the guy's good.
Right.
Still a piece of shit. That
Mhm.
doesn't excuse the fact he's a piece of shit. So it's just like, yeah, he's a good wrestler, terrible human being. Like,
Yeah.
what else is new?
Yeah, that's basically it. He's a great wrestler, terrible human being. I mean, like I said, he keeps adding to his game. The springboard Orihara moonsault, was just like, where did this guy learn this? Has he been watching Kota Ibushi or something like that? Like, where's
Yeah,
this guy learning this stuff? Yeah, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Like it's nice to have LA Knight as a champion because it's well deserved.
yeah.
However, it's almost extra nice that he took it from Logan Paul.
And
Who,
his home crowd was happy about it too. Like,
yeah.
we literally talked about this last week where mom and I were like, we're going to be the only two people in the stadium laughing that once again somebody from Cleveland chokes away a title or something
Hmm.
important. Oh no, everybody else agreed too. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
glad to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was just this guy, like, when you want to give him the benefit of the doubt as a person, like, you're
Opens
like,
his mouth.
all right, he's done some piece of shit things, but maybe he's grown up. Maybe he's
No.
figured it out and realized that his platform and the people that watch him, whether it be online or in WWE, it's massive. So he kind of wants to
Mhm.
watch what he says. Nope, just goes ahead and says something else very, very stupid that makes you just like, I actually wouldn't mind if this guy got pummeled this shit, and like, I don't want to see him injured, but like, if he got what's coming to him, so that way he learned to keep his mouth
Yeah.
shut sometimes, I wouldn't be
Like,
opposed to that.
like if he would have just shut up on Twitter, he probably would have gotten the hometown reaction he wanted. Like,
Maybe.
like it's not that hard. Like, he probably would have gotten at least a mixed reaction, not "fuck you, Logan" chants
Yeah,
throughout the
it was
arena.
it
It's
was
just like,
loud.
it's like, dude, you were right there. All you had to do was just shut the fuck up, and you couldn't even do that
And
about something that was just so like. We won't get into it because that's a whole can of worms. But it's just like, you were so stupid to say what you did because
mhm.
it's not even correct. It's just you drank the Kool Aid at that point, you
Yeah,
idiot,
you
and you got what you
yeah,
deserved.
you idiot. Exactly. I would have loved if we would have saw him get hit with like 10 more BFTs from LA
Yeah,
Knight, just for funsies, but
just keep going.
yeah. But congratulations to LA Knight, the megastar, the leader of the Yeah movement, gets his first title in the WWE. We both give the match 3.25 flames out of 5. All right, so next up, another championship match, because that 6 out of 7 matches on SummerSlam card
Yeah,
were championship matches, so they were all very important. It was Bailey defending the WWE Women's Championship against the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. To me, this is a classic blueprint of David versus Goliath. The only difference
Yeah.
is Goliath was beating David's ass for a good portion of the beginning of the match.
Yeah, I felt bad because that crowd was not into it for the first half of that match. Not
Yeah,
gonna lie, like it was just like, guys, come on, give them something. I'm begging
yeah,
you, please.
yeah. You
Like
can
it's
you can kind of feel that vibe that they weren't feeling it in the beginning. But to me, the fact that Nia was beating the hell out of Bailey in the beginning of the match actually made the match a little bit better. It made Bailey
yeah,
come off as the underdog that wouldn't quit. And then
yeah.
Tiffany Stratton comes sprinting down
Hmm.
to the ring with aspirations of cashing in her Money in the Bank contract, but Bailey put a stop to that. And this allowed Nia Jax to take control of the match and hit Bailey with 2 annihilators to win the WWE Women's Championship. Again, we had made the prediction, or at least I did, that Tiffany was going to take the opportunity and stab
Yeah.
Nia in the back.
I literally called it too. Like, because we're
Mhm.
sitting there, and anybody that goes to a show, I feel like you might not notice it, or you might, depending on if you just look hard enough. You can kind of tell if something's going to happen depending on where the cameras are and the camera people are. And we're sitting there, and I don't think, unless you saw my Instagram story, we were pretty much on like the 50-yard line. So we're like dead
Yeah,
center.
you guys had great seats.
And the funny thing, you probably can see at least my hat on like when the sun's still shining, or when the sun's still like it's not dark out yet, and they do those wide like zoom out shots, you
Right.
can kind of see us. It was a little annoying though, because the people in front of us literally would not stop recording everything. They were one of those fans where
Oh.
we had to record the entrances, we had to record the endings of the matches, we had to record like all. It's like, guys, can you put the fucking phone away, please? But so you can kind of see me, you can see mom more than you could see me, because the guy was, he was a little taller, but I could still watch the matches. It's not like I was completely blocked. But if you go up and you see this, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a very bright greenish blue shirt.
Okay.
Look right directly in front of him. You'll see a black hat. That's me. That's me and my Rhea shirt that you never got to see, but it's fine. But as we're sitting there, I'm kind of like looking over as the match starts to like kind of heat up a little bit, and the crowd remembers that this is a pretty decent match. I'm kind of like looking over, and I'm looking over, and I notice right halfway down the ramp, that very weirdly just curved ramp, there's two camera people sitting there. I
Uh-huh.
looked at mom and I'm like, Tiffany's coming down. I'm like, if this actually comes to fruition the way that we called it on the show, I'm gonna scream. Of course it didn't, but it could have. Like, Nia wins it. I'm like, all right, we at least got that part right. We're half right. And we're just kind of like just sitting there, and we're kind of just like leaning forward, just like waiting for Tiffany to do something. And there were a couple spots where it's like she keeps looking at that title. I'm like,
Yeah.
she's gonna blast her in the back of the head. So I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
Tiffany, just blast her in the back of the, like, you're just to vindicate us, please do this. And they didn't do it, but it was just like, it's fine. But in the match itself, I, like I said, I just felt bad because that crowd was not into it, but they at least got them there by the
Mhm.
end.
Yeah.
They had some very good spots, like Bailey power bombing her off the
That
turnbuckle
was
was crazy.
insane.
Woke the crowd up finally.
Someone
But that,
said
and that's
that we could replace the Andre Hogan moment from WrestleMania 3 with that.
literally though, we can forget that other one happened. But yeah, I feel like unfortunately the crowd being dead for the first half kind of took away from the match a little bit, but it wasn't a bad match.
No.
It just felt off, I guess. I don't know. So I gave it 3.25 flames because it was a good match. It's just the crowd just killed it at the first half of it, and I felt terrible, but they at least got him back.
Right. You're not gonna believe this, but I also gave the match 3.25 flames
Of
out of
course, you did.
5.
Of course, why not, right?
So it's I guess we're in lockstep with each other. Again, shout out
As
to
usual.
Nia Jax, because honestly, I'm, as much as I love Bailey and the current role that Bailey's in, Nia Jax kind of deserves this. Like, to me, she deserves it.
Yeah.
She's been
Poor
put.
Bailey was getting screwed over though.
Yeah, I mean, she is, but like, Nia, I think, recognized her faults within her first run in WWE, and she knew
Yeah.
that if she came back again, she was gonna have to clean that up, and she really
Yeah.
did put together some great matches. But this is why I think there needs to be some sort of a woman's mid card title, like a women's
Yes.
intercontinental championship, because
Both shows.
yes, because here's the thing: Bailey, who deserves nothing less than to be in an elevated main event sort of spot, where does she go from here? She lost the title.
Yeah.
I mean, she can work her way back to the title, but there's only one title to work your way back to. You know,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
problem. Whereas the men have the Intercontinental Championship, the US Championship, stuff like that. The women only have the main women's championships, and that's it, and the tag titles, and then they have to share the spotlight with someone else. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
And it sucks too because I feel like what was that one interview Bailey? It was I think Inside the Ropes. She was doing an interview with them and she pretty much was just like I don't get why they drafted Damage Control to Raw and kept me on SmackDown because I felt like there was more to that storyline that we could have done. And I'm like, yes, because me just being biased, and there were plenty of other people on Twitter that felt the same way. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is a great match and all. We could have had the Damage Control triple threat right now. We
Mhm.
could have had something that had some like pizzazz to it, and no, we had this instead, which it's like not down, like not trashing on Bailey and Nia. Like that was a decent feud in and of itself, and Nia's definitely earned the title that she won. But god damn it, you could have had the triple threat.
Yeah.
It was right there. It was right in front of your face,
Mhm.
and they had to split them up. So I feel bad for Bailey because I feel like she constantly just gets like just shit on
Yeah.
unintentionally, maybe, but it almost becomes the point of is it intentional? Because damn, what more does this woman have to do? And you took the words right out of my mouth earlier, where I'm like sitting there after she lost. I'm like, now what is she gonna do?
Yeah, basically.
Like, what is there to do now? But
Basically.
I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, the one thing I is that I'm trying to instill in people is you got to have faith in Triple H
Yeah,
to see the vision, you
don't
know.
I know it?
Yeah, you got to have faith to let Triple H do his vision, because his vision is making the WWE product astronomically better, to the sense that you get people that stopped being wrestling fans or just fell off, they're coming back and they're like, oh my
Yeah,
god, this is cool again. And it's all because of the creativity. They're finding ways to be creative and letting people who are not wrestlers kind of relate to the situations that are happening. And that's the difference between being a good creative booker and being a matchmaker. Again, it's two totally
yeah,
ends of the spectrum when it comes to pro wrestling. Both are great, but there is a reason one is the way it is and the other is the way it is as well. And it's just the
yeah,
story. So again, in terms of what happens with Bailey, we don't know, and we wish there was a direction that we can kind of latch onto. But again, if we just trust the vision, we know that Bailey's not going to be excluded from the more important parts of the show, because she is such a pillar, a pioneer, a stalwart
yeah,
in the women's locker room, that you just kind of have to have Bailey a part of the show.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We both gave that one 3.25 flames out of 5. Let's see what this next one gives us. It is everybody, because I asked at the end of the or before the show, like what's your most anticipated match, and then at the end of the show I asked what was basically your favorite match of the night. This one got an overwhelming response. It is the only non-title match that was on the card. It was CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, with Seth freaking Rollins as a special guest referee. To me, it was as good as expected and advertised. Rollins' shenanigans were great and didn't steal the spotlight from the match. You really,
Great outfit too.
yeah, perfect referee outfit. Just it was so on brand. Yet you're like,
It was drag.
yeah,
It was drag.
and that's what I actually ended up saying to someone. I was
Yeah,
like, if Shay was here, she would tell you, because she's such a part of that community, and she frequents so many drag shows, and she has so many friends in that entertainment industry, that she could tell you, like, this
yeah,
is something straight out of like Drag Race or something like that. Like,
yes,
the guy is
yeah.
just and I can tell you, Seth Rollins, the person, this is
Hmm.
nowhere near his style
No,
as a
not at
person.
all.
But
Not at all.
yeah, and he's more like one of us, like the
Yeah,
hardcore, like black.
punk.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
he's one. But like Seth Rollins, the character. This is what he is. It's
is a drag
yeah,
queen.
I guess. I guess.
Pretty much, he
Yeah,
is.
I guess. But his antics, his shenanigans, they didn't steal the spotlight from the match, and
No.
you really felt that hatred between Punk and McIntyre. It was exactly how I would have done it. The bell rang and they just start wailing away at each other,
Yeah.
just dropping bombs on each other. And it's so crazy how something so insignificant like a bracelet can, can cause a
The end
person,
all.
yeah, it can cause a person to just see red and lose focus.
Mhm.
But that's what happened as Punk's rage went from Drew to Seth, then back to Drew. And then by the time it got back to Drew, Drew was already ready to strike. McIntyre hits Punk with the Claymore kick, and McIntyre finally gets his vengeance and vindication from Punk, which is what he was looking for all along. However, now I feel after what transpired on Raw, I feel like
Mhm.
now he's just poking the bear. Like now he's just being an asshole for being an asshole sake.
Well, yeah. Like, yes, of course he is. Um, I did like at the very beginning too, Rollins just kind of like waited a little bit,
Mhm.
like that small little pause just to like get the feeling and the anticipation going because that crowd was into it. That we were ready for that. We were ready for a war. A war is what we
Mhm.
got. I loved how things came full circle and the hypocrisy of the moment where that was Punk's thing for months on end.
Mhm.
Drew McIntyre like can't get out of his own way. He's just obsessed with this. This is his fault. He's been asking for it. What happened in this match? Punk got in his own way, let his emotions get the better of him. He
Mhm.
screwed himself over. I'm just like, it's funny how the tables turn sometimes because now McIntyre can say the exact same thing, and he did. Punk got in his own way. He's been telling me I've been doing that for months. Well, look what happened. It came right back and bit you in the ass all because of a bracelet.
All because of bracelet. I mean, the bracelet in itself is pretty cool because the person that made the bracelet was able to
Yeah.
go on Twitter and like say, hey, like, that's my
Can I get
bracelet.
some
I
money?
just I just made
Yeah.
the bracelet to give it to him and be nice. And everybody's like, do you understand that your bracelet is the focal
Literally.
point of the hottest summer storyline in the past 10
Yeah.
years? Like,
Like
uh,
that I couldn't imagine being just like sitting there going, that's my bracelet. Holy shit, that is my bracelet that they're taking. I'd also be worried. I'm like, please don't break that. Please don't like snap
I
that.
I
Like,
would I would be like, hey, do you need a box of them just in case one of them breaks?
yeah,
Because I
I
would,
can ship some to you. Like,
yeah, like it's just to be a fan and to have that is just that has got to be the coolest feeling. Like you made something
oh
nice,
yeah.
a friendship bracelet with his dog and his wife, so you know he's going to be stoked about it. Of course he's stoked about it, and then it becomes part of a storyline in the World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yep.
That is insane. That's got to be a fan stream. Um, like the match wasn't a 5-star Meltzer classic in any way. It
No.
was pretty much a CM Punk based match where the wrestling
Yeah.
is super simple, but it's more about the emotion and
Mm-hmm.
not about the actual moves or anything. It's about the emotion and
No.
the physicality. You saw that these guys were spent. You saw that these guys wanted to rip each other's heads off. And then like Seth Rollins was the perfect instigator, the
Oh yeah.
absolute perfect instigator. And I don't know if you saw that video that WWE posted.
I knew he was gonna say that whole I got a bad knee. What do you want? Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
Like, you think you can hit him a little harder? I think you can hit him a little harder. I'm like, this is fucking great. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that he's going to Drew and he's like, "You're not gonna beat him with an overhead suplex," and then he goes
you've
to
never
Punk,
beaten anybody with an overhead suplex. I'm like, okay, Seth.
and
Like,
then
damn.
he goes to Punk and he's like, "You can quit now and retire and leave the
You can
company and
just
never come
leave.
back." Like, I don't know how Punk didn't just turn around and just sock him right in the face. Like,
Literally.
oh my god! But Drew ends up picking up the win. He gets his vengeance. Now I want to hear your
Yeah.
rating for this match. I want to see if we
All right. Well, it's kind of like what you said. It wasn't I'm gonna flat out say it. It wasn't the best wrestling match of the night.
no, but it
I
was
think we I think we'll agree on what is the best wrestling match of the night, and it's the match after this one.
uh,
But Um, um, I think for that alone, I think I gave it 3 3/4 flame.
3 3/4. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I gave it 3.5. So,
Oh, well, so
so
close. Oh, the
we
streak's
were
over.
we were
Streak's
off
over.
by we were off by a quarter. And the fact that you gave a CM Punk match a higher rating than I did is great.
I know. Like, I thought you were gonna do that because you're just like, it was great. The storyline was great, but it just wasn't like it was a typical. I'm like, all right, it's gotta be 3 3/4
Yeah.
because, yeah, whatever. All right, the
Like,
streak's over. It's fine.
but I mean, despite it not being the most um perfect physical wrestling match, I mean, I love the fact that these two dudes, like, you don't know if they really hate, they could have hated
Yeah.
each other, patch things up, and was like, hey, let's make some money. They could really hate each other in real life and just do it
Yeah.
because it's their job, or they might not even hate each other at all, which would be fucking insane if it ever comes out like a picture leaks and they're just chumming it up, hamming it up together on a double date with their wives and something, or like a picture comes about where Drew McIntyre is holding Larry or something. Like,
Yeah.
that would be even more insane to me
We
because
need Larry. We need AJ. We need them both.
I would have loved if Drew like broken into their homes and stole Larry.
Oh God. Oh my God. Could you imagine if they actually go full attitude era on oh my God,
that
that's gonna be
that
that'd be
would have
wild.
made that would have made Drew McIntyre an even bigger heel than Dominic Mysterio.
Hey, they can still do it.
They
They got
can.
time.
They can. And it's funny that I bring that up because somebody was like, how the hell does Dominic Mysterio, the biggest heel in the business, like, he out healed his heel, like he became a
Yeah.
double heel? How does that happen? Like, and honestly, if you mess with a man's dog, you're going that route. If you take a
Yeah.
man's dog, like,
Ooh, you're asking. It's John Wick levels of pain.
yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting because, again, I said after this match was over on Raw, Drew McIntyre continues to poke the bear. Where we could have had the logical step is to have Punk go after Rollins. Drew McIntyre, for being a shitbag and wanting to instigate that, ends up
Yeah.
getting himself in the crosshairs. So maybe we'll get a triple threat Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood.
Oof. I would like to see it.
Yeah, honestly, go with that, Triple H. Go just full send, roll tide, a triple threat Hell in a
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it because these three men, they hate each other. Seth hates Drew and Punk. Punk hates Drew and Seth. Drew hates Punk and it's just like they hate each other.
Everyone hates each
Yeah,
other.
just lock them in a cage and literally just tear them apart. It would be
Yes.
excellent, which is kind of interesting because I remember a couple months ago they asked Punk like, "Hey, do you think you'll ever do something like a TLC match or a Hell in a Cell match?" He's like, "Why at my age, at my stage of my career, would I want to subject myself to something like a Hell in a Cell match?" And lo and behold, reports are coming out that that's probably the direction that they're gonna go.
Yeah.
So this isn't over by a long shot. Good on Punk, comeback first match in 10 and a half years in WWE and put the other guy over. He didn't pull a full on Hogan or anything like that. And
Yeah.
you definitely want to see more of this storyline. So I gave it 3.5 out of 5. You gave it 3 3/4 out of.
I was gonna say I thought we were gonna do
Yeah,
it.
I thought so too.
We
But
were gonna keep going.
yeah, we'll see what's next because we're in the meat of things. We got the first slice of bread with Punk and McIntyre. Now we're getting to the meat, and that is
Yeah.
Damian Priest defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against the King of the Ring for this year, Gunther. And for me, I love this match. Damian
Yeah.
knew it was going to be a fight and made sure he brought every ounce of that fight to Gunther. Once again, no one in the Judgment Day listens to Damian, and this time
No.
it cost him everything. Damian has Gunther beat,
Oh.
but a little too close to the ropes. Before the referee could count to 3, Gunther gets his leg over the bottom rope thanks to Finn Balor.
Just
Priest tries to fight back and even gets his hands on Finn, but it's all for nothing. Gunther wraps Damian up like an anaconda in a sleeper, and the referee calls for the bell. Gunther is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Again, as my brother pointed out, the reaction to Gunther winning was okay, that's great, because any real wrestling fan from a wrestling standpoint loves Gunther. So they were like, that's great.
Ugh.
But our focus is on the fact that Finn just screwed over Damien, which we all
Yeah,
kind of saw the signs. We all saw, yeah,
unfortunately, yes.
we all saw the signs. Um,
That video before it, I'm
yeah,
like, oh, it's so over. Like as soon as when Damien like apologized, and then Finn's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry too. I'm like, oh, it's over.
yeah,
I'm like, it's so
but
fucking over.
it was just the way that it happened, and
Yeah.
Finn Balor's like sort of visceral expression of
Mm-hmm.
anger and just general miscontempt, like it added so much to what's happening. And as I stated in my little recap of Raw that I put up on the Discord, this whole situation, despite Damian not having the World Heavyweight Championship, makes Damian way more interesting.
Oh yeah.
Way,
And the crowd was already into him at SummerSlam. I
right,
can tell you right now. We wanted him to hold on to it, and I thought it was funny that you go onto social media and stuff. I think it was more Instagram than Twitter, but still, you go into the comments section of the Triple H pose with Gunther in the title. There were a lot of people that were like, Damien should have held it longer. He shouldn't have lost it.
right,
And I'm like, I'm like, you guys are finally buying into what we already knew. It took you guys long enough,
right.
but
But
too little too late. But the story is just
yeah,
they made Damien look like a smart guy looking at the replay.
right, yeah.
Nobody ever does that.
It's
It was
right there.
just
It's right there.
it's right there. Look at it. So I'm like, good on them for making him look smart. The match itself, that was my favorite like wrestling match of the night because those two just beat the shit out of each other,
We,
and
oh,
I don't think Gunther's been beat up that much since like Ilya Dragunov. It's been a very long time since someone has taken it to Gunther like that and made him bleed, made him full on bleed. Um, but it as soon as Finn came out, I'm just like, it's fucking happening, and it's just the story of he was about to give up, he was about to pass out, but then like Gunther got a hold of Finn, and that made Damien like pissed, and he almost won, and then Finn just screws him over. I'm just like, God, this is just cinema, and I hate it, but I like it at the same time because it's just like it works. And I'm like, God damn it, I wanted Damien to win, and they had me for a minute. I'm like, he might actually
he
do
might
this,
actually do it.
he might do it, and then he didn't, and I'm just like, this is the second time this tonight my heart got fucking broke to pieces, and my poor mom, I felt so bad. I felt so bad. Like she might hate me for saying this on air, or she might not. I don't care, but it's the truth, and it just kind of goes back to what we were talking about of wrestling being the emotional roller coaster ride that it is. Poor mom was crying when Damien lost.
I mean, I
Like
get it though. I get it.
I've it's because I'm just like I I felt her. I felt the pain. I understood it. 'Cause she's just like it just doesn't. I mean, at the time, she's like it doesn't make sense. Like he could have held on to it longer. I'm
Right.
like I know, and
Yeah.
I'm like yeah. I'm like it just pulls at your heartstrings because especially I think it also helped that we like saw the documentary before everyone, so it's like
Yeah.
that going into this next day where it's like all right, he could totally do this because like he's worked hard for it, he's earned this, all then for Finn to screw him over, it's just like, God damn it. Again, it's like we knew it was gonna happen, but we were kind of hoping it wouldn't, but it still did. And the thing that I want to touch on about like just the whole Judgment Day thing in general, because I saw a lot of people saying like, oh well, this is Damien and Rhea's like revenge tour of their own, and I'm like, all right, so here's the problem we have with that. Jokingly, I was like, they did nothing wrong. They were innocent in this whole thing. They were the victims, whatever. Seriously though, we know they kind of asked for it in some way, shape, or form. They especially Rhea,
Mm-hmm.
she kind of asked for this because she took Liv out, stabbed her in the back. Damien, not so much. I mean, Damien kind of like pushed at Finn a little bit, so it's like he still deserved it in his own way. But um someone and I had screenshot it and I don't remember, I'd have to look at who said it, but they pretty much were like, it gets tricky because, especially in the Liv and Rhea situation, Liv should have stopped at she broke Rhea's shoulder or whatever and took her out of action, took her title. That should have been it. Then she took it too far once she started going to Dom and on the rest of Judgment Day. So it's like, on surface level, you take Rhea out, you inevitably take the title she never lost.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's you two are even at that point.
Right.
Then you take it too far. Then Rhea does turn into the victim. So I think when it comes to like, and with Damien too, where it's like, yeah, he pushed it Finn a little bit. He kind of got in his face a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that's like the lesser version of Rhea and Liv's storyline. But I feel like this is more of their let's do redemption tour as opposed to revenge
Right.
because they're even now. We're even. Liv and Finn took it too far, and Dom, they took it too far. So now I guess it could be a mix of revenge and redemption, but I think it's more they could redeem themselves, but I see where they're coming from where it's the whole tricky thing, but you can still say it's revenge because everybody was even, some people took it too far, and now they have to redeem themselves and get their own semblance of revenge, which it's just that multi-layered kind of storytelling that Triple H loves to tell,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it because there's just so many layers to this whole thing
Right.
that it's insane. And I just love that they kept the Terror Twins together. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially after, again, if you go watch the documentary, you'll see how much Damien and Rhea actually mean to each other. Like, it's adorable. It's adorable. We love it. But I'm glad that they're still keeping that together because truly the only people those two can trust is each other at this point.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And to your point as to the situation with the Judgment Day, I feel like yeah, everybody can point to those certain moments and be like, yeah, that's why Rhea and Damien deserved it. But we're also forgetting the human element of someone recognizing, hey, what I did was wrong. The way I was
Yeah.
treating you was wrong. I shouldn't have done that, and I'm just trying to be the bigger person because you are we are in this Judgment Day thing together, and we got to make this work. I'm just apologizing so that way we can get back to what's happening at hand. And that's basically what happened up until the very end. Up until before
Yeah.
Damien went out there for his match against Gunther. He went to Finn Balor and he's just like, hey, I'm sorry. It wasn't right for me to get angry like that. And then that's what led to that. But that's the whole element. Like, I agree with people and say, well, there are elements to say, Finn was getting disrespected and things like that. And Rhea was just kind of out here being a menacing P
A
word.
menace.
Yeah,
A menace.
she was being menaced. But again, these are all people that the human element of them recognize, hey, my behavior at that time was not cool. I apologize. And so Dom and Finn kind of just took that, and instead of being equally as big of people and saying, "Hey, I accept your apology. We could just move forward as a family." They they decided to just, like I said earlier, set the whole fucking thing on fire.
Yeah.
Because
Oh yes.
now we have a sort of NWO versus NWO Wolfpack situation, just not on that big of a scale and way more confined and creative. I bet it's going to be interesting because I was talking to Mike in the Discord, and we were talking about this whole Judgment Day versus Judgment Day situation. If you look on the bad guy side, like Dom can come out of this whole Judgment Day 2.0 situation still as a star because he's a natural heel and he has this God-given
Yeah.
ability at his age that means that by the time he hits his prime, he's just going to be an absolute mega star. Liv is great. Finn will definitely come out as a star because he's such a veteran and he's done so much in the business already and so many monumental things in the business that he's basically Teflon. But it's guys like Carlito and JD who, despite them being lower level members of the Judgment Day, they added so much just from like
Yeah.
a comedic level, from a wrestling level. Because if you needed somebody from the Judgment Day, if you were on the opposite side, if you were opposing the Judgment Day, but you needed somebody to make your shit look good, go attack JD.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the
Oh yeah.
choke slam South of Heaven chokeslam that Damien gave him on Raw. That dude,
Oh
like
my god.
Damien literally tried to put JD McDonough and his big head through the ring. He
Yeah. Oh
literally
yeah.
tried to put him through the ring. Like, and only JD can make it look that way. So again, it's just like there's so many layers to this, and you wonder how everybody's gonna come out of it. Are they gonna be able to make the new iteration of the Judgment Day as competent and as dominating as the first go round? Can they add someone to the Terror Twins, because they're obviously the numbers are not on their side, so
Yeah.
they do need some heavy. But they can go with Jay Uso, which I was actually talking to your mom about this. Like, they can go with Jay
Yeah.
Uso. That makes a lot of sense. But they still need somebody else, and but
Yeah.
again, the Terror Twins together on TV as an actual team, as a unit, that's pretty cool, because they basically have taken some sort of insider thing between Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, and let's put that on screen because I think people will dig that. And it's also cool, and it also shows that, hey, men and women can be friends and can be close friends without there being some sort of weird romantic relationship dynamic to it. Like, these guys,
Yeah.
Damian and Rhea, are in every sense of the word like brother sister as you can get, so
Yes. Ride or
uh
die.
yeah, so it's just like to be able to put that on TV is great. Again, this is all relatable shit. Yeah, it's wrestling and it's pageantry, and it's like, from an outsider perspective, you're like, what the hell is this? But if you sit down and watch it, you would realize that a lot of the stories that they tell within this wrestling show deals with human emotion and the human element of things,
Yeah.
so
Like literally, it's just that's I think where the best storylines are, where you, even though they're on this grand scale of a stage, you can still be like, some of that is pretty relatable. I can see where Damien is in this situation. I can see how Rhea would feel in this situation because I've been in that kind of situation before. It's like when you can connect to the people the most on a low, like deeper level than just wrestling, that's where we get you.
exactly. All right, so for this match in particular, I gave it 3.5 flames out of 5. Let's hear yours.
I said 4.
You said 4. I feel like that's bias.
No, it was not. Well, if I wanted to go by just off of bias, it would have been 1. But no, I just think it was the best overall wrestling match of the night.
Yeah,
The storytelling, the playing with my with our emotions towards the end of the show or end of it, it just got me.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
said, definitely got poor mom. I felt like I said I felt
Poor
bad.
mom. Like but in a way, that's what makes wrestling awesome, man. It just,
Yeah,
like, it gives you the opportunity to,
toys with your
yeah, it
emotions.
toys with your emotion, but you can get emotional about it. And you're in that arena, and nobody's gonna look at you like, oh God, like, why is this person crying? Because they're
Yeah,
probably feeling the same way too, because you were all surrounded by wrestling fans. So like and trust me, like, our Discord, like, one of our high ranking members, Riz, she's the one that does a lot of the behind the scenes work and stuff like that. She's been a great addition, making things happen online to get people involved. She's a massive Damien fan, probably neck and neck with your mom. So
like
like
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that fight.
like when the Liv and Rhea stuff went down, like, she just disappeared. And we
Yeah,
were like, we lost Riz. like,
she's like dead.
I was messaging her private, like doing like a wellness check, or like, are you okay?
Like, are you okay? Like,
Yeah, are you good? Are you good? Like, and then
uh,
the Damien thing happened, and it was like, oh my God, oh no, this girl's mental state is in shambles.
literally though, like I sent my friend who unfortunately is the Live fan, whatever. After the whole Damien match, I like sent the gif of SpongeBob sitting at the coffee table, just like staring into the void, and I'm like, this is not a good night for mom and I, like at
Yeah,
all.
it's just
Like, this is not.
it's
This is why we said fun but catastrophic. We had a blast. It was a great time,
mhm.
but also very catastrophic for just the two of us,
Yeah,
especially because it's just like,
it's just
yeah, we had a great time. All of our friends lost, but hey,
I don't and like I trust Triple H's booking, but I'm like, you have the hottest faction in all of wrestling, even more so than the current iteration of the Bloodline. And
Yeah.
then you just decide to light the whole fucking thing on fire. You're
Yeah.
like, yo, that is the brass balls from a creative business standpoint to do that, because you see how popular
Yeah.
the Judgment Day is. Everybody really does all rise for the Judgment Day,
Yeah.
and then you're like,
The memes.
yeah, and then you're just like, hey, all right, we're done with that. We're gonna do something else with it. It's just insane.
It was the catch 22 of we got to be a part of probably by I don't know by record standards whatever the biggest SummerSlam of all
Yeah,
time,
definitely.
but then also got to be a part of the SummerSlam where the Judgment Day died.
Yeah,
So
the night that the Judgment Day died, but from a fellow Puerto Rican from the Bronx, much like Damian Priest, I got to give him his flowers. I know he'll probably never hear
yes,
this, but it just has to go on record that as a Puerto
yeah,
Rican from the Bronx, I am immensely, immensely, immensely proud of what Damian Priest was able to accomplish. Because much to your point, like you said, everybody saw this happening, and while they were excited for what went down at WrestleMania 40, after that they were like, I don't know about this. And then by the end of this, they were like, man, you probably really should consider not taking the belt off of that
yeah.
because
Like, you know what? We at least were at the very beginning. We were just like, no, this can work because he's a cool dude. He's got the look. He's underrated in the ring. We knew.
right.
We knew this whole time, but everyone caught on. And then by the time everyone caught on, it was too late. And it's like, if you guys would have, fucking hurried up a little sooner, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I think it would have ended up unfortunately happening. But it's just like, damn it.
Yeah, but again, like I said, I'm just immensely, immensely proud to have that connection with Damian Priest. And like I said too, on Raw, you saw when he came out, he made a beeline for the ring, and the fans
Yeah.
were going crazy. They were like, and then the way he was speaking too, the way he was speaking was
Hmm.
just like, it was a mixture of like Damian Priest, Damian from the Bronx, and like
Luis.
yeah, and like Punishment Martinez, it was like,
Yeah.
and then when Michael Cole was like, the punishment is back, I was like, fuck yeah, like,
You're like, let's
I
go.
was like hulking up, like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, like, because it,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was just like, it made me understand, like, people always talk about representation in entertainment, in movies and TV shows and music, representation, representation, representation. And I understood
Hmm.
it, but I never got that feeling because I never felt like anything that was a part of me was actually represented. But I was okay with that.
Yeah.
But then when Damien came along, and you're like, oh, they're recognizing, his heritage, where he came from, and he's into the exact same things that I am into, then you get that sense of representation. You're like, oh, I get it. I understand why there's so
Yep.
much pride to this. And to that point, it's also like when you see Carlito join up with this wish.com version of the Judgment Day, I'm like,
Like, what
bro,
are you doing?
what the fuck are you doing? Like
Yeah.
the he's
What are you doing?
he's one of us. Like, you're not being one of us. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Traitor.
yeah,
You're being a
yeah. I was
traitor.
like, you Judas Iscariot. Like, like, it was just like, it
Yeah.
was like, don't ever show yourself around the Puerto Rican Day parade. None of
Oh,
that. I don't want to see you
no.
because what what
Can we catch some hands?
what Carlito, like, what are you doing, my man? And like, it's just, again, this storyline, as sad as it made all of us, and we're just like, oh, it's over. I'm excited
Yeah.
to see what happens because, again, Damian Priest somehow made it out more popular now.
Oh, yeah.
Before Rhea even came out,
Yeah.
now that it's him and Rhea by themselves going in
It's
alone,
over for them.
whoever's going to get in their way is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Get away, you're in trouble. You probably have a better shot against the Wyatt Six than you do against the Terror Twins. That's just me.
Literally, though. And I like how you brought up the whole, like, now you finally have someone that you're like, you could see yourself in
Right.
them because it's like related, because that's how I was, like, when Paige was around in NXT, and then, like, especially like Rhea now too, because I feel like what's lost on some people sometimes, unless you actually like really, really pay attention, is that yeah, she comes across as this like confident, just like independent, like kick your ass kind of woman, but she has her own like mental health issues too. Just go back to WrestleMania. She had
Hmm.
a panic attack before the biggest match of her entire career.
Yeah.
So she like that is relatable where it's like you can come across as the most confident person in the world, but you have no idea what you're dealing with in between the ears at any given time. So to hear that, I'm just like, okay, now I don't feel like as like alone because we know how mental health can be, where it's just like, yeah, a lot of people deal with it, but you still don't like feel you feel alone.
Right.
And so to hear somebody like Rhea Ripley of all people have a panic attack right before going on to WrestleMania, which also totally get that. I probably would have done the same thing, but for someone like her to have insecurities and doubts and mental health whatever, it's like, okay, good. Now I like that's my person. Like
Yeah. Yeah. That,
we run through a brick wall for Rhea and Damien.
yeah.
Protect them both at all costs.
Yeah. That's what wrestling's all about. And I'm just super stoked that you don't get the feeling of, well, they had their run. It's gonna be
Yeah.
astronomical to get them back. Like, no, they had their run, and a second, third run of this goodness is gonna come through eventually, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm totally excited for this. Like it was like literally the same thing you said when you were watching Raw too, because I was watching it too last night. When Rhea and Damien were in that ring together, I was gonna run through a brick wall. I was just like, let's go. The what was it, Timu Witch Judgment Day is dead. They're done. Like, let's just go. I need to see what happens. So
I agree. I agree. I can't wait to see what they do with the Terra Twins next.
I can't either. It's gonna be so much
It
fun.
is. It is. And again, I gave the match 3.5. What about you? What'd you give the match? You gave it 4, right?
For Damien, yeah, I gave it 4,
You
yeah.
gave it 4. So yeah, like again, this is the meat of the show of SummerSlam, and then we get to the main event, the last one, and it was you thought Damien and Gunther was insane. Um, it was Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Undisputed Championship against Solo Sikoa, the man who considers himself the new Tribal Chief, and basically, I'm gonna break it down like this. I didn't know I can get goosebumps after WrestleMania 40. Uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
uh, but somehow WWE managed to do that. The match was good. The run, I'm loving this
Yeah,
run from Cody. I think it's fantastic because it's simply an old school good guy who's just downright rugged tough. Like he's a good guy. He
yeah.
fights for the people, but he's not gonna go in there and let himself get his ass kicked. Like he's gonna fight back. And I also have to give credit to Solo Sikoa. I feel like Solo Sikoa is just finally getting comfortable in this character, in this role. You see him interacting as a bad guy with the fans. You see him interacting with the camera where he's cutting promos, and he kind of looks like a boss, but
Yeah.
he doesn't look like the boss. I'm not talking about the final
Yeah.
boss. I'm talking about someone that I actually think is better than the final boss. The match, much like CM Punk Drew McIntyre, was a old school driven sort of Cody Rhodes led match where he did the small things to keep you on the edge of your seat, but if you break it down and you analyze it, you realize, hey, this is pretty much like an old school late 80s early 90s sort of wrestling match, very slow, methodical. They ramped it up because it was Bloodline Rules, which they made that Friday before, which was insane. um
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and obviously, I mean, if Solo was going to get the win, that would have
Ooh.
set the wrestling world upside down. We then we wouldn't have known what the hell was going on, but Cody was able to eke out the win, and this is why. You're
Hmm.
sitting there,
Hmm.
you're watching.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the viewer on TV perspective, sitting there.
Okay.
We're watching the show as a family. We're having a good time. Both Solo and Cody are down on the mat. You're waiting to hear what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, those fucking drums come through the screen.
Yeah.
And you see the head of the table logo flash up. And it
Mhm.
was all like we levitated. We simultaneously levitated. And it was
Yep.
like we were being delivered into a new verse of existence. It was just it was just insane because it felt like Endgame when the portals started to open up, you know, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
he goes on your left, and it was just like that's what you felt. You felt like warriors were coming through, but only one single person came through like a fucking god, and like
It, oh
it
yes.
was just like I couldn't even function. I couldn't even I know what happened. I heard the ooh ah and the spear, but it was just like my brain couldn't comprehend. So I can't even imagine what it was like to be there in person feeling that energy.
All right. So I mean, we kind of hoped he was going to show. Obviously, no one knew for sure if he was going to show up. So we're sitting there, and they did a very good job at throwing people off because they had that whole thing with Arn Anderson
Yeah.
before the match where
Yes.
it's like, oh yeah, I like use my I don't remember how he worded the influence or whatever. Oh, you got some friends, some you don't even know about, and they'll be here if you're gonna need them. And so we're just kind of sitting there and we're like, who the hell could he have possibly brought in? Because I feel like they probably did show it on like the TV broadcast or whatever, but they showed like the Legends suite
Yeah.
where it was like X Pac and all of them, and mom's like, oh yeah, it's probably like DDP or something because they just don't show them for no
Right.
reason. And I'm like, I really hope not because people are gonna light that on fire because then it'll be like, well, you had all this at WrestleMania 40, so the best you got for SummerSlam was X Pac DDP. I'm like, I really hope that's not the case. So whatever. So Kevin and Randy come out. We kind of expected that, whatever. Then Jacob Fatu comes out, and I'm like, all right, who's this special person that? Because who's gonna take out Jacob Fatu at this point? Like
Mhm.
himself, apparently. That was the answer. Was himself because we genuinely thought he like blew his knee out or broke his ankle or
Yeah.
something.
The
So
whole time I'm like, oh no, please don't be hurt. Please don't be hurt. Please don't be hurt.
like this is the worst case scenario because I'm just like, but then all things considered, it made sense because it's just like there's nobody right now that could take him. And so we're just kind of like sitting there. We didn't really notice cameras or anything. So we're like, who is possibly showing up in the middle of this match? Because I was fully expecting what was going to happen, how you and I thought it was going to play out, that he wasn't coming till after the match.
Right.
So we're just like, mom and I are just sitting there and we're like, who the fuck is left? There's like nobody left. And I give them props for not fully just doing the same formula they did for the Bloodline Rules match at WrestleMania
Right.
because I was kind of worried they were going to kind of almost go like scene for scene what was going to happen.
Right.
And when those, like, it took everybody off guard when his music hit. We're just like, holy shit, wait, he's here, he's actually fucking here, like already. And we're like, wait, that was not what we were expecting at all. And then it took him 20 minutes to get three-quarters of the way down to the ring as we expected, and we're like, yeah, this is just, but no one cared because we're just like, he's fucking back. Like this is insane that he's back. And he once he made a beeline, we're like, oh, we know who he's going for.
Yeah.
We knew who he was going for. And when he hit Solo with that Superman punch, that crowd went batshit crazy. Like,
Wow.
and that was probably the biggest like ooh ah thing, like with the spear. That was the loudest I have ever heard that ever. And I've been a fan of Roman for years at this point. That is the loudest I have ever heard that for his spear. It was
Like
insane.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. Like
Like it's that feeling you can feel in your chest a little bit where it's
yeah,
just
you
like
get kind
you
of
can feel your heart like vibrating in your chest.
yeah,
Like that
and
was
it's like
it. That
hard to
was fully it.
breathe. Like you kind of get choked up because like
Yeah.
like even like as a fan watching it on TV, you just felt like a rush of electricity go through you. So if
Yeah.
I was there in the building, I would have been like, shit, I need to sit in my seat. Like
You need to sit
I
down.
need to calm down because it was so cool. Like we give Def Rebel a lot of shit, but the
Yeah.
music and the way they were weaving in like this new sort of godlike figure of Roman Reigns with the head of the table music, it was just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? It's like he's leveled up a different Super Saiyan. Like it was insane. And then he looks back, Cody's on the ground, just fucking spent. He realizes what's happening. He probably felt the same energy that we did. He couldn't get to his feet, and he's just staring at Roman. And Roman's
Yeah.
like, I got you. You know, like,
Don't worry
yeah,
about
I
it.
got you. You're my arch rival. you will go down in history as probably my biggest rival. You know, you're the Macho Man to my Hogan, the Steamboat to my Flair.
Yeah.
But I got you. I gotta get my family right. So if I gotta come to your aid to get my family right, then I'm gonna do so. Which I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, like
This Survivor Series is gonna be fucking wild.
uh,
Like,
I don't
oh
know because you know the roller coaster I went through during the whole bloodline story. How it was,
yeah, imagine it
yeah,
now.
like
Like,
how every week it was like, are you okay? Are you
here, you please tell me you didn't
yeah,
die. Like,
it was just like it kind of was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to go through it again. Like,
I'm like, I don't think he's gonna make it. I
yeah,
don't think
like
we're gonna lose
yeah,
Eric.
like when the Usos reunite, that's it. If they bring in Sami Zayn, I might that might cure my cerebral palsy.
Death.
That might cure my
You might be
I might
might cure
yeah, I
everything.
might run to Vegas for WrestleMania 41 on my own, like some Forrest Gump shit. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
it's just that's what this line does. That's what wrestling does. It's just, oh my god. Thank you, Roman Reigns. Thank you, Triple H. I mean, as far as the match, it was one of those things, much like what we talked about with Meltzer saying the story ended up being more important than the match, but the match wasn't bad. Again, it was a very old school.
No.
It was very Cody based. It was great. I gave the match. Let me see what I gave the match. I got to scroll down.
I was gonna say, what did we do?
I gave the match 3.5 out of 5. Again, I'm
Yeah.
very staunch in my ratings, so please don't come. You're
Yeah.
never gonna hear me go past 5. I'm not gonna go like Meltzer and fucking give it 1,000,000 stars or anything like that. I'll keep it at 5, being the absolute best you can get. And 3.5 is not bad for this match. Again, I'm
Yeah.
super impressed with what Solo's been able to do. Where he kind of at first you can tell he wasn't ready to take on such a big important role, but now he's flowing right into it. They take it away from him. The best part was him sitting on the floor. Jacob, yeah,
Screaming.
Jacob trying to console him, and he's screaming like a petulant child. It was just like, this is so
It
good.
was great.
This is so good. So I gave the match 3.5 out of 5. What'd you give it?
I gave it 3.25 because I feel like it's also very tough because it's like if it's a bloodline rules match, you kind of are going to compare it to the first one, and when you do that, I don't think anything's ever going to really top that,
Yeah,
obviously. But Roman coming back, of course, is going to be. That's the problem. No one's talking about the match itself. They're talking about the ending of the
yeah,
match,
yeah, yeah,
which is a shame.
yeah.
But the match itself wasn't bad. It was just like it never really. I don't think it ever really kicked in like high gear.
Right.
It never went like it never just reached that next level
Yeah,
that it could
I mean,
have.
there wasn't like the typical million kickouts of
No, thank
yeah,
God.
of
But
everybody's finisher or anything like that, which is great for the old school fan, you know, who doesn't like the million
yeah,
false finishes and things like that.
I feel like it was more. I don't know how to. I'm trying to put this in like a nice way where it doesn't sound terrible, but I feel like at least I mean like Triple H mind. Okay, we know what's going to happen towards the end of this match, so there's no point in really like actually giving people like a thought that Solo was going to win. Nobody thought Solo was going to win that
Right.
match. Not a single damn person in that arena, on at home, in the world, nobody. So it's just like you didn't really need to make it be a 5-star classic because it's like the match itself, like the ending was a foregone
Right.
conclusion.
Yeah.
You knew Cody was going to win. It was just how we're going to get to
Right.
it. And Roman coming back was, again, that was what people are going to care about. No one really cares about the match itself. It was good.
Mm.
It wasn't like putting us to sleep. It was just more of like, okay, can we get the match over? Because we know Roman might come back. And if he doesn't, this place is going to burn to the ground. So it was kind of in a bad spot anyway. Because it was like, if Roman was coming back, that's all people were going to care about. If he didn't come back, people were really going to be
Right.
pissed.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you kind of have to sacrifice the match itself and stuff like that to
yeah,
get this big moment, because this moment's going to be talked about for ages. I struggled with this throughout the weekend. It was, does this does this exceed the feeling that they brought in WrestleMania 40? And
Oof.
it's tough. It's tough because I could see the
Um,
argument for the recency bias as well because it just happened. But I don't
yeah,
know, man. That Roman return, like it was like
it's
it was like a
it's its own thing.
yeah, but it was like there was a feeling, the cliche term in wrestling, the feeling has been restored. You know, it
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really felt like, wow, we were missing something, much like when we were missing Rhea Ripley for 3 months. It was
yeah,
a lot like
yeah,
that feeling like, wow, we missed this guy. Like, and now he can be
yeah,
the full-on badass that he was meant to be from the moment he was in the Shield, because everybody was making the thing like, oh, is Seth Rollins going to be the guy from the Shield? Is Dean Ambrose going to be the guy from the Shield? And I was like, they're all great, but if you look at what
yeah.
WWE likes, that's the guy.
Roman.
That's the guy. That's
It's
exactly
it.
what they want. But the problem was they pushed him to be that guy way before he was ready. If they would have built him up as like an intercontinental champion and then go from there progressive wise, it would have worked. But they instantly put him in there,
Yeah,
and that's why he kind of was fledgling a little bit. Now we're gonna get the cool, badass, good guy Roman Reigns,
yeah,
and it's gonna be fucking awesome.
yeah. It's so tough to pick between
Yeah,
that
because you were there
and
for both of them.
I know, which I'm like, it's fucking insane. I feel like it's like you almost can't pick, and not for like the oh, well, I don't want to pick because I can't. It's just like they're two separate
Yeah,
like
it's too.
feelings where it's like WrestleMania 40. It was we have waited 2 years for this to happen,
Mhm,
so 2 years worth of just story finally the like ended,
mhm,
and then like for like SummerSlam, it's like you're sitting on pins and needles because it's that whole is he gonna come back? We don't really know because there's no like guarantee, but he might also not. Like you never
right.
know. And for him to just finally be back, it's just like it was just two completely different feelings, I guess. At least for me. For it was tough for me to like pick because it was two different feelings
Yeah,
of like, holy shit, Cody finally did it to oh shit, Roman's back.
yeah,
Solo's dead.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like I said. At home as a viewer, I was equally as conflicted because I was like you said, I think they gave us two different feelings because I mean the Cody one, like they could have swerved us, but there was a good chance we knew what was gonna
Oh,
happen, and there was a good chance
yeah.
that we knew Roman was gonna return, but it was just like the vibe.
You never
It
know.
literally felt like a superhero was walking through a portal, and like he came
Yeah.
out and it was just like, oh, like the air just feels different now, like it's just
Yeah.
it was just, and I'm so excited because right off the bat they're like he's gonna be on SmackDown, so like I just get,
You're like,
yeah,
okay.
just open and like the first 45 minutes to an hour, let Roman do whatever the hell he wants to do, like, like
It might need to be that long because the crowd might not shut up until he like for 30 minutes of it. They might just cheer him the
bro,
whole
when
time.
he comes out, that crowd is going to go
Gonna
bananas.
go fucking
Oh my
insane. Like
god, that's gonna be
and
ugh.
I'll give Triple H credit too because he could have easily, and I think that's what most people were expecting. They weren't expecting Roman until after the
Right,
match. They weren't expecting him to cost Solo the match. So Triple H just like, hmm, oh, you guys thought
right,
you knew what was going to happen. Like, he heard us.
right,
He heard us
yes.
on that episode where it's like, nope, it's not going to happen till the end.
Hmm,
He's going to come out. Jimmy's going to come out. This
right,
all shit's going to go down. And Triple H is like, you two, that was cute. That was funny.
yeah,
No, we're just going to fully just swerve all of you and be like, no, we're going to put him in the middle of the match or at the end of the match. And we're like, that's why it just took people off guard. That's why you didn't get that instant, like, reaction.
right.
If you go back, like, it takes a couple seconds because it's like, wait, holy shit, it's actually him. Like, he's actually here. Really, we weren't expecting you for another 10 minutes. What are you doing? Like, it was insane. Triple H just likes to fuck with
Yeah,
us.
yeah, it's
In great ways and some in not so great ways, but
it's one of those things like before with McMahon, it was always, I'm gonna do it this way, you're gonna like it. Whether you like it or
yeah.
not, you're still gonna watch, so I don't give a fuck. With Triple H, it's like, all right, these people want to see this. How do we tweak what they want, make it even better, and then just like slap them in the face with it? You know?
Literally, that was a personal attack on
Yeah,
you and me.
I felt like it was, but it's one of those like masochistic, like, okay, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. Please,
You're like, I really
please smack me again, sir. Please, like, you know.
please just punch me in the face
Yeah,
again, please.
it's just so weird. Like, oh man. But again, to that point, I thought another great show. Triple H is doing that NXT Black and Gold thing where he gives you the best stories on the best shows. But it's also now what happens to the Judgment Day is Punk's focus on Rollins or McIntyre or both. We
Yeah.
talked about Roman going to be on SmackDown on Friday, so it's interesting to hear what he's going to say. Are the
That
Usos?
was a Bailey.
Yeah, what happened to Bailey? What's her storyline progression? Are we going to eventually see the Usos get back together? And it's like find out next week on another episode of Dragon Ball Z. It's like it just really
You literally though, like
it like gives you that feeling of just like you got to watch what's happening next week. And this is something that we've always said about the stories is that like when you watch the shows, they make it so that you have to tune in next week. And this is what the other company has to figure out how to do is like make people want to watch next week.
yes.
You and it's wrestling, I tell you.
It's great.
Yeah.
We're so back.
Yeah.
We're so back.
We're back. We're back. I gave this show overall 3.5 out of 5. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say 4 out of 5. It's definitely, again, I get what Meltzer was kind of trying to say, but he just, as usual, didn't word it very well. Where it
Yeah.
was like, yes, it was a storyline heavy show, but the wrestling got it there.
Yeah.
If the wrestling would have been shit, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have just fell flat on its face. But no, everybody delivered. As predictable as the outcomes were, it still didn't feel like, okay, well, I didn't want that to happen and it still did, but okay, it's fine, I guess. It's just like it still grabbed you by the heart and in our case tore it up and stomped on it and threw it in Lake Erie, but that's the love and the pain of being a wrestling fan is that it just happens, but
For sure, for
yeah, it
sure.
was definitely a fun show.
For sure, for sure. Really quickly, I just want to get through the poll results that we had on the Discord. We'll give you the scoop on the Discord at the end of the episode and how you can join and be a part of our family. But the family is rapidly growing.
Yes.
For the Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley match, overwhelmingly 67% of the votes say they loved the match. Braun Breaker Sami Zayn match, it was tied between loved it and it was good. So kind of they loved it or they thought it was in the middle. It was tied at there. LA Knight defeating Logan Paul to win the new become the new US champion. Overwhelmingly, all the votes say that they loved it. Nia Jax versus Bailey, unfortunately, got the meh vote out of
Yeah.
it. Like you said, it was kind of in a death spot. The match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk got overwhelmingly almost all the votes for loved it. And the only other vote for it was good. So it was between loved it and it was good. Same thing happened with Gunther and Damian Priest. Overwhelmingly, most people loved it or thought it was good. Someone said they hated it, but I'm sure that's because they did. It might have been your mom probably has like a secret Discord burner.
It's a burner account. Yeah.
She's in here. And Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa, 80% of the votes came in and said they loved it, and only one other vote said that it was good. So that was a positive thing. Riz, our Discord mod, her favorite match was Drew versus Punk. The match that surprised her was Rhea and Liv. And I also asked the guys, like, what do you want to see coming out post SummerSlam? And she said that she wants to see the Usos and Roman back together as a unit.
That's gonna be wild when it happens.
Yeah.
Oh,
Our good friend Mike said that his favorite match was Drew versus Punk. The match that surprised him was Sammy versus Braun, mainly because of how short it was and
yeah.
what he's looking forward to post SummerSlam. And the only answer for him is the Bloodline feud.
Yeah.
So I also asked because Raw was pretty crazy Monday night. I asked you guys how you liked it, and the votes that came in were either that they loved it or that they thought it was good. Another one of those debatable ones is this the best Raw that has happened this year? They've had a couple Raw episodes that were like, man, this is really
Yeah.
good. Last night in Baltimore, Obviously, you see the formation of the Terror Twins, you see the reveal of the new
Yeah.
Judgment Day. The Wyatt Six debut was incredible.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
so if you haven't seen Raw from this past Monday, definitely hit your DVR and check that out. WWE right now is cooking. I mean, they've been
They are cooking with
they are
gasoline.
they are
Like,
on fire to the point where you worry, like, can they keep up their own momentum? And it was sort of the thing. It was kind of like what we used to always talk about the NXT takeover shows. It's like, when
yeah.
is the one NXT takeover show gonna come that's like, oh well, this isn't as good as the other ones. This was kind of meh, but they always ended up being,
They never did.
every single one was fucking excellent. And I honestly feel we're getting that vibe right now. Like, we're
Yeah.
getting that NXT Black and Gold old OG sort of vibe where, like, these stories are bangers, the matches are bangers. Every single person on TV is an important character, that you can get into. It's like, it's all of it. It's all of it in one. And WWE is just straight up cooking, having the biggest barbecue you can think of right now.
Literally, it is just so much fun to
It
watch. What can we
it
say?
really, really is. And that, my friends, is the conclusion of our recap review of SummerSlam 2024, happened in Cleveland Browns Arena Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Shay was there. She
Yeah.
didn't want to be there in that particular
No.
geographical location, but she braved it out to give us the first-hand account of what it was like. And I'm glad that you and your mom had a fantastic weekend of wrestling.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun one.
Good, good,
So
good.
can't complain, even though being in Cleveland, but
Good, good. Well,
let it slide.
before we get out of here, let me get through the very, very large list of particulars when it comes to this show. If you want to check out any of the episodes from episode 1, way back in June 2021, up until now, if you want to check out any of those episodes are available all across the board on any podcast platform that you use, whether it's Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. They're all available. If it so happens to not be available on your podcast platform of choice, just hit us up on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at the handle at Ringside Rundown. Shoot us a DM letting us know what platform you use. One of us will get back to you with a link on a silver platter, but the caveat is you have to give us the silver platter back because we only have one.
Yeah.
It's expensive. Shay spent
Yes,
so much money this past weekend.
yes, I did.
She spent so much money that she doesn't have enough money to get another one, so you're going to have to give us back. But we'll make sure you have a link to listen to the podcast. If you don't use a platform, don't worry. The podcast is available. Podcast full episodes, highlights, and more short form content is available on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/at Ringside Run Pod, you can also listen to the podcast there. Like I said, you can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're also on TikTok, but don't worry, I don't do any sort of goofy influencer dances. It's all just straight wrestling. So check me out on TikTok. It's basically highlights of the streams that I do on Twitch. So check me out TikTok at ringside_rundown. And as I just mentioned, I do Twitch streams for all WWE and AEW TV programming. The big pay-per-views, like the big ones from WWE and All In, those are Discord exclusive pay-per-views that I do with the community that we're building up. But all the other pay-per-views and PLEs, I also do live watch alongs on Twitch. So follow me at twitch.tv/ringside rundown. And the thing about Twitch is we're 17 followers away from the 50. So that way we can get the affiliate status and get monetized through subscribers.
Make
And
some
yeah,
money.
make some freaking money. Because let me tell you, these bills for running this operation are starting to stack. So anything will help.
Yeah.
But we had the viewership that we needed. We just need those followers. We're 17 away from the required amount of followers that will allow us to monetize, and then people can subscribe. And the cool thing is I have ideas for people who subscribe to have special access to parts of the Discord that nobody's going to have access to. We're going to be watching PLEs and pay-per-views completely free of charge. We're going to be watching various different wrestling things, and we're also going to be doing things that are not wrestling based, like watching TV shows, like having TV nights and movie nights as a community. And those are all things that are going to be put into place as soon as we hit that affiliate status on Twitch, so that way you guys as listeners of ours can have more than just funny little emotes on Twitch. You can actually feel like your money is being valued, and we're giving you extra incentives to check out our content. So
Yes.
that those are all the things. I changed my personal wrestling Twitter account. It's no longer Wrestling Cron. You can follow me if you want to talk to me individually about wrestling at Erik Ringside _, on Twitch. That's Erik, ERIK Ringside _ if you want to talk to me on Twitter about wrestling. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShayLeneHickson21, talking absolute nonsense about pretty much anything you can think of, honestly.
There you go. Well, she's a good Twitter follower, and I'm thoroughly impressed that I was able to do that whole entire plug of all the socials and everything in under 5 minutes.
You need a nap now.
Yeah, suck it, Excalibur. Everybody can do this. All right. No, but definitely check us out on social media. Check out the all the content that we have available. Join the Discord. The Discord is very important. It is a Sopranos themed wrestling Discord. Don't ask me how I did it. I did it in my brain. It's stupid, but it's great. And the Discord itself is super almost kind of complex. I'm not gonna lie. It has sections.
Yeah, it's good.
It has sections for the podcast. It has sections where you can plug your own content. It has sections where you can talk wrestling, share wrestling memes, videos, all that other stuff. And it even has a section for non-wrestling stuff. If you want to talk movies, music, TV, whatever you want to talk about, the Discord is there. The best part about the Discord is a meeting of casual to new wrestling fans with hardcore wrestling fans, people that have been listening to the show for the longest time, like Jeff and Mike. They're in there holding down the fort, and like I said, the best part is we're getting people that are like, I just started watching this wrestling thing again. It's so cool. And they feel comfortable sharing their passion because they know in that Discord, in that space, you are completely safe and free from judgment, tribalism, anything like that. Once you're in, you're a family, but that's why we have a 1-strike rule where if you screw up once, you're out of here. We're not going to give you a chance to screw up what we're building. So definitely check out the Discord. I didn't expect this episode to go 2 hours.
I didn't either, but we had a lot of stories.
We definitely did. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It is the SummerSlam review, recap, and everything like that. Shout out to Shay and her mom for taking the trip to Cleveland to see the show live and giving her a first-hand account. It definitely has the show. So thank you, Shay, for sacrificing your bank account for us.
And my emotions. It's unfortunately,
this wrestling thing is kind of toxic. It's a toxic relationship.
You just can't get out of it, unfortunately. It keeps pulling us back in.
You give them money and they break your heart.
Yeah, pretty much. That sounds about right. Yeah.
All right.